final push for marketing for Bloodlines 2 seems to have kicked off with July 22nd's Game Informer article. Heck, it was even their cover story. There were quite a few things that came up out of that article, things we covered in our July 30th video on what we learned from the Game Informer article and podcast. Shameless plug, go check out our video. But one of the most important was how they addressed the open world aspects of Bloodlines 2. And they straight up said it is not an open world game. Ben Matthews, the art director for the game, was very clear. Quote, "We're not making GTA. This is not a big open world sprawling game where the horizon is your limit." Unquote. The folks at the Chinese room went on to say how they are going for a densely packed, smaller environments. There are clear boundaries, different zones. This is, in fact, a zoned-based game. It's not like they haven't talked about this before and even shown the basic layout of the map. That term, open world, has been tossed around an awful lot, and they might not have done as much as they should have to lay to rest any of the rumors and insinuations that it was a sprawling world and you were going to explore Seattle willy-nilly. In fact, Bloodlines 2 is more akin to, say, Dragon Age Origins. You had your party camp, and then you had all of the various locations. You had Orzammar, the Brazilian Forest, Denerim, the Mage Tower, etc. Small areas with side quests all of their own, but a major quest that you needed to work through in order to progress the plot. Or you could compare it to Bloodlines 1, where you had Santa Monica, downtown, Hollywood, Chinatown, and you had special little areas like the Haunted Hotel. And it certainly appears we're going to have much the same in Bloodlines 2. There's Uptown, lots of skyscrapers and their upscale clubs. The Financial District, again, towering skyscrapers, a bit more austere, and a swankier class to feed on. Downtown is a densely packed district where you'll find those shady pawn shops and a lot more lowlifes that you can eat. You have Chinatown with its festive lanterns, the Industrial District, which is pretty much what it sounds like. That'll be fun. And a warehouse district with warehouses. They say these will be seamlessly linked. You want to jump from one rooftop to another and end up in the financial district? Right on. You're supposed to be able to seamlessly transfer from one zone to another. And it appears your haven will be in Pioneer Square, which will be in the downtown district. In Dev Diary 26, they explained how the farther you progress in the storyline, the more things open up. So a location in one district might suddenly come available to you once you completed a quest. One of the goals they mentioned in Dev Diary 26 is that they don't want the player to get bored and just see the same shops over and over again. They make it as alive as they can. Of course, all of this interest in these locations will only go so far if the quests are no good and the NPCs are people we don't even care about feeding on, let alone whether they have side quests and interesting stories to listen in on. And finally, it seems like they're trying to make this point so that they don't get caught with an advertising nightmare. Remember when Mike Laidlaw promised Inquisition was going to be more like Dragon Age Origins? And it wasn't. How about CD Projekt Red saying those life paths we chose were going to have a real influence on the story? Or frankly, when any developer or publisher started making claims about their games that just didn't turn out to be true. And we at the Outpost are happy to hear this. It's fun to run around in an open world game for a couple of hours and then it starts to get boring. You lose the urgency of the plot, you don't really have a reason to roam the streets, and then we go through the process of doing every quest first and then doing the main mission. If these are focused areas with really good quests, then this ought to be a great formula. But what do you think? Give us your thoughts in the comments below, and remember, if you like this content, give us a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.